Hi everyone, my name's Michelle with the Book Dragon, and today we have author Jennifer Gilmour with us. Hi Jennifer.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. And Jennifer's agreed to answer some questions about her book, The Funky Frecks, which is one of the book two books this week, and also about her writing and work in general. So thanks for that, Jennifer.
No problem.
So can we start by asking, where did you get the idea for The Funky Frecks?
Yeah, of course. Well, it's a mixture of two reasons. One is I've got my eldest daughter who went through primary school and had a bit of tricky time with one particular student. And she actually was her friend for years, but the relationship was just a bit, they just weren't good together, to be honest. And then I also have experienced domestic abuse in my past, and I thought about raising awareness, and I've done a lot of raising awareness with adults. But I thought, where do we make our first connections as human beings that are outside of our family? It's most likely going to be in primary school. So I thought, well, my daughter went through this, I've gone through that. How can I get the message to those children? And it was all just about trying to equip those children with the knowledge of healthy relationships and unhealthy relationships. And the idea then sort of came about with Kaleidoscopic UK, who have got a prevention program. And so together, the idea formed, I ran away with it, and then the Funky Frecks was born.
I've got to say, I love the name. So can you tell our viewers a little bit about the story?
Yeah, of course. Well, the main character, Jess, she's about to start a brand new school. She's been to a few before and she's just not quite gelled. She's got a family that needs to sort of move around. So she goes to this new school with the idea of a fresh new start, make new friends, and she makes a couple of new friends, but one friendship makes her feel uncomfortable and she's not sure what she is meant to do. She's got a few pressures on her shoulders towards the end of the book, and basically Jess is stuck, and she meets this other friend who's trying to help her and support her and show the way, which I love. And it all comes to a head, and I don't want to give too much away,
Yeah,
but
of
it
course.
is all about those first friendships.
Yeah. And what is the message that you'd like readers to take away from the Funky Frecks?
Well, the Funky Frex has actually got a resource pack with it, which is, completely free. You download it from the website. There's a link within the book that you just type in. And that resource pack has got all of the information to do with how to have discussions, get the book activated with different activities. And all I'm trying to do with this book is basically equipping every child with the choice of friend, with the red flags, the pink flags, to recognize what the difference is between a healthy relationship and an unhealthy relationship in their first friendships. Hopefully, then they will take that on, in their future relationships and into their romantic relationships. So I just want them to be equipped. Just a little ask.
Yeah, no, it's very good. And you've written other books as well, Jennifer. Can you tell our viewers more about those?
Yes, of course. I have got one book called Isolation Junction. That was my debut novel. And it is a work of fiction, but it's based on true events of my own and other women that have gone through domestic abuse. That book for me is quite raw, and I won't read it back because of just of where I was on my journey and how it came about. But it's almost used like a pamphlet instead. So how everybody likes to enjoy reading. So they'll get that book and hopefully be equipped with the knowledge of emotional abuse, more specifically, by the end. So I've always kind of thought about educating people through a form of entertainment, because let's face it, textbooks, they're not all they're cracked up to be at times when it's something like a tricky subject, or you don't really get the understanding side of it when you're thinking about a textbook. So that was Isolation Junction. And Clipped Wings was my second book, which is non-fiction, and it's an anthology of people's stories of coming out of an abusive relationship, and it covers a range of domestic abuse. So it could even be medical related, financial abuse, emotional, physical. So I've really tried to cover all bases there so that educators can get a true understanding of what it's really like, and what the emotions are, and why they didn't escape. And obviously both of those are really directed towards young adults. So the children's book is very different, but with the same kind of, you know, moral side of things, where we're wanting to raise awareness.
Yeah, that message goes all the way through. And as well as being a writer, you're also a speaker and advocate. Can you share with us more about those roles?
Yeah, so obviously you've heard a little bit about, my experiences of domestic abuse just in this interview. But my experiences are of coercive control. And at the time that I left that abusive relationship, that wasn't even about that word. It was all emotional abuse, and I was quite alien in the system. Nobody really knew how to handle me because I wasn't physically abused. And so I talk a lot about that at events like conferences, with the police or charities, different people that are working with those victims or families where there's domestic abuse. And I've been fortunate to speak alongside Nicole Richard, who was the Domestic Abuse Commissioner in the government. And for me, that is the most rewarding part of my, I don't want to say job because it's not a job, it's a passion, because it gives them the opportunity to ask any questions that they want to, as somebody that's got authority, and hopefully then they can go into their place of work and, maybe think of it from our point of view as well. So I do a lot of speaking events just to give depth of my experiences. And then I advocate as well. So I'm actively raising awareness of domestic abuse. Obviously, you can see that within my books, but it also includes being part of campaigns, protests, alongside being seen on social media and literally speaking to victims and survivors of domestic abuse and signposting them for support. I know that you've been on my TikTok a lot, so I'm quite open on my TikTok account about my experiences, because I feel it's a more open platform than some of the social media accounts. So yeah, to sum up, really, it is all about giving people an insight into what it's like to be in an abusive relationship, with the hope of raising awareness so that others don't end up in the same situation, or getting them out of that situation.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for talking to that about that was Jennifer. It's obviously really important work. And you can find about more about Jennifer on a website. Do you want to give your website address, Jennifer?
Of course, it's simple. It's jennifergilmour.com, MOUR. That's a thing. I'm not a true Gilmour girl.
Yeah. And Jennifer's got a remote book signing with us tomorrow at 6 West Road, Stockton-on-Tees, between 2 and 4 p.m. So you can pick up copies of all of the books she's talked about in this interview then. Thank you so much for the time you've taken today, Jennifer. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.